Okay, I think it's ready and we okay on that side? Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Good morning, everybody. We will call to order this meeting of the Board of Elections. We are coming out of recess. But I'll also note that the appropriate legal ad was placed in the paper advertising this meeting, and that the respective chairs of the two county parties were given a phone call advising them of this meeting. We appreciate everybody joining us. We'll note that the meeting is being both live streamed and recorded, and would ask if you have any type of a cell phone, if you'd be kind enough to put it on vibrate or silent. We would appreciate you doing that. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. Commissioner Sanada, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sanada?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here. We do have a quorum. As many of you may know, we are in the midst right now of conducting the mandated recount for the United States Senate race. It was started yesterday, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but we got through the mail-in ballots, and I'll let you give us all the details, but right now we're working on Election Day ballots, so we'll try not to hold you up here because I know you got a lot going on right next door. We always set aside time for public comment. If you do have we'll do that now, and we'll do it before we adjourn. We ask if you do have a comment that it be related to election board matters. And you're welcome to speak both times, one of two times if you choose, or if you're just here to listen, that's equally fine. And if you could try to keep your comments to about 5 minutes, we'd appreciate that courtesy. So that being said, I will open the floor. If you do have a comment, we'll recognize you. And if you could identify yourself for the record, please. Any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. The agenda says that you're certifying the results. I guess I'm confused. If they're still counting, you can still certify them, is that right? Okay.
All right.
Yes.
And so have you also counted the Uocapa votes then?
Yes.
You have. And why did you do that if there's a pending litigation still?
We've not been advised of any pending litigation in writing.
Today's the last day that I can file.
That's fine, but we have a court order and we're proceeding accordingly. I should note, just to be very clear, what we're doing next door with respect to the recount is specific to the U.S. Senate race. That what's being fed into those machines, they're programmed to only read the U.S. Senate ballots. I do want to make note of that fact. And by the way, Carrie Hawn from Wilmington Township.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
quite all right. That's quite all right. Other public comments at this time? We'll open it back up before we adjourn. So thank you. Mr. Germaini, could you please provide your update for us?
Yes, I can. And I'm a little unprepared because of everything that's going on. But my update is today I'd like to certify this election. Of course, we're gonna have to certify the recount, but I have to get this certified prior to the Monday. So you guys are gonna be busy, so I figured I have no more ballots to count. These are the official ballots that have been cast, both mail-in, election day, and provisional. I have those on the website. I gave you guys the numbers, and if anybody else, I have a couple copies that we could go through. We had a really good turnout for election day. It was 81.11%. Not as quite as high as 2020, but pretty much up there with it. We had total ballots cast of 47,426, with election day ballots at 35,958, and mail vote was 11,259, and we had 209 provisional ballots counted. So yeah, it was a busy day on the 5th. We got through it. Minimal problems, just your election day problems. And like you mentioned here, we're in the middle of the recount. So yesterday's recount as the mail-in ballots, I didn't print a report, but as I discussed with you guys yesterday, it was very successful and minimal change in ballots.
So today we are certifying the vote that was cast. These are as of election day, and then of course factoring in the provisionals that
Right,
you had to address.
yes.
And when we reconvene next Wednesday morning, and by the way, this board will meet again Wednesday of next week, November 27. At 9 a.m., I believe. That will be open to the public. My understanding is when we meet next Wednesday, that will be to certify the results of this U.S. Senate recount.
That's correct.
Specifically.
Specific.
So what we're certifying today will include the results from the U.S. Senate race pre-recount.
Yes.
And even though you conducted a partial recount yesterday, that partial result is not included in what we're doing today.
No, sir.
And my understanding from yesterday, and again, what we completed yesterday were the mail-in ballots. Today, we're focusing on the ballots that were cast on election day.
Yeah, at the polls, yes.
And when you finished yesterday with the mail-ins, the numbers equal. In other words, you had X number of ballots from the mail-ins, and that equaled what you put into the machine.
Yes, sir.
And there were 8 ballots that needed to be reviewed by the resolution group.
Right, we duplicated those ballots. Well, I shouldn't say duplicated, we had to make judgment on the overvotes on 8 ballots.
And the resolution board consisted of 4 individuals. They're in there this morning. 2 of them are registered Democrats, 2 of them are registered Republicans. And from what I understand, of those 8, 7 of them were accepted and counted.
Mhm.
And of those 7, Mr. Casey had received 4, and Mr. McCormick received 3.
Yeah.
So that was essentially a net gain of 1 vote for Mr. Casey.
Looks like it.
You interpreted so far with the mail-in ballot.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we just pass those out?
Yeah, absolutely, that's why.
How many do you have?
So I got 3 here.
Okay, why don't we'll give one to Debbie, and then if you folks want to pass
And
these.
they are on the website as well.
There we go. Please, if you could pass one down to Mr. Buck, and maybe, thank you very much. Maybe share one, we'd appreciate that.
I do have the recount results on the website as well from yesterday.
From yesterday.
Yeah.
Emphasizing once again that those are mail-in so
Yes.
far. By the way, I've already interrupted you about 5 times, I gotta do it again. I apologize for not asking my 2 colleagues if they had any opening remarks, so forgive me. Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Sanada. So please, I'll turn it back over to you.
That's pretty much it. Like I said, we're in the middle of the recount. I did a 2% audit the other day. That came out spot on. I didn't have any problems with that. That's required by the state for that. I did it up in the Shannick 3. That was spot on. And then I have what they call a RLA, which is a risk limiting audit. So I have to do that today. That was randomly picked by the state by a dice roll. And the audit would be for one office of treasurer. And the area that got picked was Shenango 4. And I am to audit election day ballots. So I'm in the middle of that
Only
as well.
election day ballots.
Only election day ballot. Yes, they roll the dice to see what area, what office, and what type of ballots they want counted.
They being the Department of State.
Yes.
All right.
that's about all I have.
Okay. Mr. Sonata, do you have questions for Mr. Germaini?
No questions, just the observation I saw yesterday. Everything went smoothly. You get that done when they got it done. I commend you and your staff for that because they were running like a well-oiled machine over there.
It worked very well.
Quality people. And those have been your team for a while, Tim.
Yes,
Yeah, I could tell they knew what they were doing, stuff that was in there.
yeah,
Observers on both sides were there and we had no issues. Everyone was very respectful to each other and I just thought it went very well from my observations.
thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Kennedy?
They got started already this
Oh,
morning.
yeah, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock on the
Yeah,
nose.
right on.
Right at 9 o'clock they started. And as Mr. Sonata noted, there are some watchers there today, and they have the appropriate credentials to view. Now, do you need for us to adopt these results? Do you need a motion and a second in order
Yes, sir.
for us to? Okay, so Mr. Germaini has provided us with the election results, with the understanding that the board will need to reconvene next Wednesday to certify the recount results for the U.S. Senate race. But what we're doing now is everything else. So gentlemen, it's been presented to you. Would one of you care to make a motion for us to certify these results?
I move with we certify the election results.
I'll second.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you both, gentlemen. And this resolution, there is a resolution, maybe I better read it into the record. What number is this, Vanessa?
16.
16. Whereas pursuant to the Pennsylvania Election Code, the Lawrence County Board of Elections is required to certify the results of the general election held on November 5, 2024. Whereas Tim Germaini, the Lawrence County Elections Director, provided to the board that all votes have been counted, and therefore be it resolved that the Lawrence County Board of Elections does hereby certify the results of the general election held on November 5, 2024. We do have a motion and a second. Counselor, thank you for joining us. Any concerns on your part before we vote?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. We'll ask for a roll call. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. That is resolution number 16. Tim, anything else?
Only to thank everybody involved in this election. I mean, every department, once again, in the courthouse has helped me out, has been wonderful. And I mean, there's been a lot going on with this election. It was very challenging, both for the office and for me personally. And personally, I have to say, this election has changed me a bit, probably for the better, I hope. As they say, a coal turns into a diamond under pressure, so. And that has really made my staff stellar with what we had to go through with this election. It was very, very busy. And I would like to thank, there's so many to thank, but I could be here forever thanking people, but they know who they are. So, and I thank you gentlemen as well for guidance and helping me out with everything as well. And that's about it.
Thank you so much. You've gone above and beyond, as has your staff. And that includes all the men and women that worked at the polling places
Yes,
on election
For
day.
sure.
No, we can't thank you enough as well. And again, I just want to reiterate that the recount will be ongoing. It should finish by tomorrow at the latest.
At the latest. I don't see it going beyond that.
And as I noted earlier, we will reconvene Wednesday morning of next week at 9 a.m. Be open to the public. It has already been advertised. The legal ad that appeared included today's meeting and next Wednesday's meeting. Since Mr. Buck is here, I assume, do we need to call you again, or is this notification sufficient?
Notification is fine,
And
Commissioner.
thank you, and we'll call Mrs. Ryan to advise her of next Wednesday's meeting, at which time, again, we'll certify the U.S. Senate recount results. Let me open it up for public comment, please. Mrs. Hahn.
Just following up on the Uacaba, when were the Uacaba canvass then?
I'm sorry?
The Uacaba
Yes.
votes that were already counted, when was that? When did that take
Immediately.
place?
Or when you say immediately, what day would that be?
That was been, right after the decision.
On Friday? Well, the
When I got the
the
paper.
decision came in on Monday.
Okay, then that's.
So it was on Monday.
And so in the tally results, where are those votes recorded? Is that, because they're not in the voter roll. So let's say, I don't know, so New Wilmington, say New Wilmington has 500 at the polls.
They're all counted in as mail-in ballots, because the state doesn't give me anywhere to put them except mail-in ballots. That's what they are. That's how I count them.
Okay, so it's the state's decision to count them as mail-in ballots. I would like to request at this time to inspect the Uacaba envelopes.
Counselor?
Make a right to know request for something like that.
I don't need to, it's part of the election code, and the private case from Erie says that is a public record. And I don't need to do it under right to know.
Let's allow the solicitor the opportunity to investigate that, please.
So,
And once you make a determination, can you advise us? And
Yes.
If a right to know request is necessary, so be it. If not, then we'll proceed accordingly.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen?
thank you.
Okay.
I have a couple other just public comments for the record. Initially, there were 52 that were challenged, but an updated list of the mail-in ballot list now only has 39 on it. Sort of random, not sure why these people were taken off. But it also indicates that 4 individuals, the county received their mail-in ballot after the election. So those should not have been counted.
By law, they have a week to get those ballots to me.
The
after the
military
election.
does. The military,
All of them, any overseas and military, have a week. Everything was counted right. Everything was counted square.
so do you have any idea why the 10 people were removed from the mail-in ballot list?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the report that the state is required to list all the mail-in ballot, that report now has 10 fewer than they did before.
Well, there was only 39 that sent ballots back out of the 52. Is that what you're talking about?
That doesn't quite jive with the numbers, but, so is that something that happens at the state that you can't control, or do you take them off?
I don't understand your question.
You challenged 52 voters, but 39 of those voters voted.
Yeah, just because you request a mail-in ballot doesn't mean you have to send it back. That happens all the time. Even with civilian ballots.
Okay, I'd have to just check the previous weeks to see if they were listed as recorded, previously. But I only have one slip in front of me, so.
Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other public comments? Hearing none, thank you all. Closing comments from my fellow board members. Mr. Kennedy. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sanada? Okay, thank you. We do appreciate everyone joining us this morning, and we should let Mr. Germaini get back to his work. Counselor, would we be in order then to continue our recess? Because in the event that something should arise between now and next Wednesday, is it more appropriate that we stay in, that we go back into recess? We've advertised next Wednesday's meeting, but I'm wondering, since something could come up between now and next Wednesday that would necessitate us having to meet, should we stay in recess?
Yes.
We should?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what I'll do is declare this meeting in recess to the call of the chair, but as of now, our next regular meeting of this group would be Wednesday, November 27 at 9 a.m. More than likely, at that time, we can adjourn.
Yes,
More than likely.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no other matters for the good of the order, then I declare this board meeting in recess. Thank you all very much. Oh, and I have an extra, ladies, I have